Okay, perfect. So we are now recording. Again, welcome to Moxi Present 101. So I just asked kind of where you guys are at in relation to the usage of this tool. We have some that haven't used it at all yet. We have some that have made one presentation. We have some that used a lot. We have some that done a full integration with sending it to somebody and receiving it as well. So we're going to go over a couple things today, but to start, I want you guys to really see where we're at today versus what is available to you in the Moxi Present 201 class. So if you're new or this is new information to you, what we've done is we've taken our sessions and broke them into two parts. So one is if you are 101, kind of coming in for the first time or maybe just not in it a lot. 201 is if you're going to want to, implement some of the extras, some of the additional benefits that we might not have time to really focus in on in 101. But in addition to that, maybe you're not ready for some things. It's a lot of information coming at you. So what we try to do is present these things to you in a way that is receptive to the way you need to learn. So is that a virtual where you see it in front of you? Is that in a PDF form where you see step-by-step PDFs as well? So we're providing this training to you in many different ways. We're going to meet you where you need us to meet you. Let's take a look. Okay, so Moxi Present, first and foremost, for those that need to kind of know what it is our presentation tool. It can be a listing presentation for your seller. It can be a buyer presentation. It can be a buyer tour presentation. When you're ready to actually go and look at those houses, it's interactive with Google Maps, which is so cool. And it's also a personal listing presentation. And it can even be a newsletter. I mean, the capabilities of this particular tool are just so ranging. That's why it makes it very exciting. So what we're going to cover today is, first and foremost, we're going to show you how to log in, where and how, and then the account profile section of Moxi, which feeds to your Present tool. We're going to review that really quick because it's important for you guys to see that stuff as well. Then I'm going to let you see a preview of a completed presentation that we've sent directly. So you're going to see it received as the client. You're going to see the full presentation first. That way you guys see what you're going to be building, and it makes a little more sense when you're doing so. Then I'm going to actually show you the presentation library, so where all of your presentations are stored. And then I'm going to show you how to very quickly create your own presentation in 5 quick and easy steps. Here's the cool thing. Even if I show you the listing side today, it's the exact same steps and the exact same process for the buying tool, for the buying side of it, for the personal presentation or the buyer tour. So there's not like different ways you have to learn each section. You learn how to do it one time, these quick 5 steps, and each presentation follows those same steps. Makes it easy. Now I'm going to also review those quick 5 steps in our navigation panel, but then I'm also going to show you the pre-made template that's already ready for you to grab and go. But I also want you to show you where you can edit, you can delete some of the pages, you can change the order, you can turn on Zillow to show you reviews. And then also I'm going to show you how to save it as a template. We're also going to show you how and where to send your presentation and then your full presentation review. So that is what's going to be covered today. Beyond today's training, we have a separate training of Moxi 201 where we are going to do a quick reminder of the account review section. So the first thing we start with today, just as a reminder, but then we're going to show a couple options in addition, where again, we're going to show you an existing presentation, but with some of the additional benefits you can do with it. So adding a co-presenter, so another agent, maybe another office manager, someone that's going to assist you in that presentation. We're also going to actually show you how to create a custom page from the blank pages where you can add text, video, picture. So that's going to help you make newsletters. That's going to help you do a custom listing presentation where you're integrating your own video, maybe a buyer tour video, a listing presentation video of a property. So maybe you took video footage of the property and you made a virtual tour. You can actually embed those right inside your Moxi Present tool, which is very exciting. So those are some of the things that are covered in the next section. For now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump right into Present. But before I do so, I want to show you this one document you can easily access directly from Instrument Resources. So as you can see here, I just typed up the benefits from each suite platform. So if you want to get an overview of Moxi Present versus Engage, which is your CRM, versus Moxi website, please go ahead in the chat bar. And I'd love for you to put your email right in the chat bar now. What we'll do, I can actually mail this to you in an email format directly following our training today. You can also access it by going to the Moxi Square and schmidtresources.com. So this is just to give you a full, quick glance understanding of the tool. Plus, it's great for you to have on your desk or even on your desktop, on your computer, to really understand what you can do. The benefits to this, it allows you to know what you do know and maybe what you don't know yet, which you need to work on. So this is just a quick overview. So please go ahead, throw your email into the chat bar. As you guys noticed the last time, I was pretty quick on getting you everything you asked for right away after that last training. So you'll have that today. Quick, easy, and peasy. So here we go. And I see you guys throwing those emails in there. That's awesome. That's exciting. Great. Okay. So the first thing we're doing, I'm going to go ahead and pull my screen up a little bit bigger so you guys can see it a little bit nicer. I'm going to start off from square one. I'm going to show you very specifically what this presentation is in the view of your client, of your potential seller, your buyer, or whomever you're sending it to. This way you get a full circle training from all ends. As you can see, I have an email, and all I've done so far is I've just opened it. This is so user-friendly for a client. You don't even need to explain how to do it. If you can notice, all I'm doing is scrolling down here. And it has my seller's name in here, which in this instance, I just named Isabella Seller, and it has the address in question. So it also has my information, and to make it super simple and easy, they only have two options. View presentation, which is going to give them the digital view of the presentation, or you'll see how I do this later. I've added a print-friendly version. We are meeting our consumer where they need us. We're not forcing digital technology on everyone who doesn't have it or they're not ready. So for those who have consumers that need to have that print version, and that is how they need to operate, they're going to be able to click right on this and download it right to their computer. The exact same presentation, but in PDF form. So we are working with the consumer where they need us to do. I'm going to go ahead and click View Presentation. And it's going to load my digital presentation, hopefully soon. Here we go. Perfect. As this loads, I'd like to point out that this is mobile responsive. So you can do this on a computer, on an iPad, a tablet, or even from your own cell phone. It works and functions in the exact same way for each platform, and it resizes it to show properly on each program. So here we are, Isabella Seller. I'm just going to really quickly kind of run through these pages just so you can see what they are. Then we'll get into building them. But first thing I'd like for you to do is have everyone look at my screen. Take a look at the bottom right-hand corner. This is your saving grace in your dialogue conversation if you are actually communicating and talking to who's receiving this at the time they're receiving it. And this is how they're going to navigate it going forward. So if you can see here, hopefully, can I get a couple of you that have camera on nod? Can you see that? Is this a little too small for you, these little icons? Yes, you can. Perfect. Thanks, guys. So clearly, the up arrow is going to be to go up. The down arrow is going to be to go down. But what I love is the middle section here, these three lines. What it does is it gives you each page. Why is this great? Because you know very easily you're going to go through and have your listing presentation with your client. You're going to go through page 1, page 2, 3, 4, 5, and then all of a sudden it's going to dawn on them that they forgot to ask you a question, or something's going to hit them and they're going to ask you a question in relation to something they saw on slide 3. I don't want you to sit there and scroll page by page. You're going to very, very quickly and easily have control of the conversation by immediately clicking on the middle navigation bar and saying, oh, absolutely, clicking on that third slide, and it's going to take you back to that third slide. Same thing applies no matter where you are. If you're at the end of the presentation, you need to go back up to the front of the first section. You're going to quickly navigate. So your conversation is an easy, fluid conversation that doesn't have to have you feeling like you're going to stumble and stop because you don't remember what page it was on and sitting there scrolling. So I love that option. What I'm going to do right now is just kind of go through each presentation page. So first, we have a basic pricing analysis, and this is going to be where the average price that you would recommend would be. We also have an area where you're going to be able to type in text. So if you were saying, for example, you could type this out literally in a paragraph, price point would be suggested at $539.9. However, if you were to update the flooring and the walls, we might be able to price this a little bit higher at $575. So you're able to start immediately connecting with the analysis of the property, what it's worth now versus if they were to update it. So it helps you as a pricing standpoint right from the get-go. Next, my favorite slide. This is a side-by-side comparison. In past up to now, we've been working with the MLS. So as an agent, you need to go in and do your work. You need to pull the comps, and then you can give them to them in a side-by-side view, but it doesn't involve, first of all, they have to have it in the computer format and it's clicking through each property and it's not interactive. So it doesn't really connect with the analytical versus the physical view that we need sometimes to receive and process information. Here's why I like this. This is interactive, okay? So I want you to think of the people who need to have those analytics in there, those numbers, those stats. But I also want you to think of the people who need to receive things in a visual format to see it, for them to receive it and to process the information. This is a beautiful marriage of the both, okay? So I'm able to come in here and see my comparisons side by side. Visually, I'm recognizing what property it is with the information. It is comparing all of the stats. So at a very quick glance, I can say, well, this is my property here. Okay, I want to try to market for $539.9. I've got 5 bedrooms, but these properties sold. And if you continue, we go in here, this just happens to have all the ones that sold because I did this presentation a little bit ago, but it will show what's sold versus what's pending versus what's on the market analytically. Okay, so I'm connected to my property. I've updated the bedroom, I've done the bathroom, I've done the outside. My investment into this property is heavy. That means I'm physically and emotionally connected, which means my price point needs to match that in the eye of the consumer, right? So my as a seller, I think I want to put this baby on the market for $650 just because I invested so much, and to me it has that potential. As an agent, you know that that's not going to fly based off the houses on the market today, right? So you're going to be able to not be the bad guy and say, I don't think your house is worth that right now. It's more of the conversation of let's compare what's on the market so that we can accurately price your property to move today versus stay on the market and have to reduce in price, subsequently costing you more money, right? Especially if they have a double property or a double mortgage. So I'm going to be able to come in here and say, okay, well, this one sold for $525, and I'm able to watch what I can do here. Not only can I see the graphic, the text here of the stats, I'm able to physically click right on the property. It takes me into the property. I can see the photos. So let's say this property happened to be a higher price point than mine. I can say, okay, yeah, but you know what? Their floors are a little bit nicer than mine. Can clearly say they've updated in paint. So now I am emotionally connecting my property to what my comparisons truly are. So I can say if this one happened to sell for more than mine, I'm able to say, well, that property, instead of being like, well, that property sold, so mine will too, I can say, well, mine's not quite as updated. Maybe I need to do a little bit of work on it. It's rationality, right? It's helping the consumer understand the status of the market instead of you as an agent just telling them. What's happening by using these slides is they're able to physically go into the property, see that side-by-side comparison, get all of the information, and immediately be able to establish a truth and where their price point lies versus today's market. And I say today because this is interactive and it's live connected to the MLS. So that means if I had this presentation sent to me 1 month ago and I stalled my feet and I didn't get in the grill at that time, even though my agent said it was probably the best time to go, and I pulled this presentation up today without my agent changing anything, the stats that would be showing here are going to be live and up to date as of today. So these things are going to change. Some of these are going to say sold. Some of them are going to say new listing in here. So my information is going to change based off today's MLS feed. It's not like out of date information. So this is going to help me in a very analytical and very visual way compare the properties to see where I truly lie. That way it can help me enable the idea in my mind, okay, and I'll show you some of these slides here going a little bit further. But if I'm saying, well, this one sold for about my price, but it sat on the market, you know, with the price I wanted, but it sat on the market for 174 days. Man, I'm just strapped right now. I'm stressed. The economy, my job, I can't wait that long. You know what? Let's go ahead and have that conversation about maybe looking at my price point today. Does that make sense, you guys? Really taking the time to price it correctly now so that you can sell for better price quicker than having it sit on the market for a little bit longer. So this is a tool that's empowering you to empower them. They're going to be more likely to price it at an accurate price when they have come to the conclusion themselves by this system and you guiding them to understand the market versus just feeding them with information. That's what they're used to. They're used to just being told, right? And they don't understand, you know, sometimes that can go back to, in their mind, oh, how experienced is that agent? Do they really have the tools to sell it? Maybe that's why it didn't sell. Bam, we break that habit and this becomes a true accurate price point of today's market. And it actually helps you become the resource. And so they trust your information a little bit more as well, because you understand they're going to Zillow, they're going to Trulia, they're going to these other locations where the price points are not estimating correctly. So you're going to help them to really break that cycle of thinking that the other stuff they're seeing on the internet is valid or what they're hearing in social media is necessarily the case. You're going to show them today's market direct. Next slide. This is a simple property summary. Okay. And this is similar to the comparison, but this is just by map location. So these are the comps and it's showing them visually, because you do have people that say, I only want to be on the north end of town and I do not want to be in a condo. But then all of a sudden you start to realize they start searching things on the south end of town and then they're looking at condos. So it helps you just dictate where the location is. So I know you've got those buyers out there, or those sellers that want to compare things to properties that are so far away, but in reality, so I know my map right here is going, looks like it's kind of big. Oops, sorry about that. But if I were to span out, you would actually see these properties aren't that far apart in comparison to the type of property they are. But this just by location shows them, let's say as an example, they tell me I'm in Strongsville and they say, the client says, well, my sister's property in Berea, it has a, you know, it's sold for this much. You're going to help show them by comparison of visual where it is laid out on a map, how if the property is not within the same sphere area, the credentials and the stats are not going to be the same because the pricing is dependent on the area, even down to the street or neighborhood you are in. This also helps them to visually see how I click on it, see how it's all interactive. If I were to say, I love this area, this is my favorite, I could click on it and it's going to highlight the property that is in that area. So this is just for them to have a view visually by map. Okay, so the next slide. Just a listing overview. These are just different ways of seeing it. Again, we are catering to the learning and receiving processes that people will need. So this one is status comparison. So it's just an overall view, quick days on the market. You can see these things very quick and it breaks it down into those. And we'll plug in and I'll find an MLS number that's got more comps today. So you guys can see that. And then it just breaks it down into a chart. So listing averages, you can see on here that we've got the pricing point and you can click on each type. So you can do solds or pendings or currently on the market when those are available. And when you click on everything within this system, it will actually be interactive. So here are, this is a chart, price and days on the market, okay? Again, disconnect from the clawfoot tub that I just installed in the bathroom that cost me 10 grand. I'm disconnecting from that financial connection, and I'm physically seeing that if I overprice, how long my house can stay. Just a different way of processing and showcasing our information. So if you hover over each area, it will tell you. So this one was priced at $565. This is one of my comps, and it sold in 2 days versus this one right here, same price, but it sold in 174. Technically, I can click on these and go into the property as well, but this is just helping us break down our pricing per day so we can really share the story of what would happen with their particular house today. So we are also going to include some of our stories, some of what we offer. So in addition to where their house is placed in the market, it's where they would be placed by working with us, with you. So we've got some slides that we've got in here and created for you from the Blue Book. So our listing presentation. We also separately can do this for the luxury side as well. So a separate presentation, but let's get into some of this stuff here so you guys can see. So we have this tool that the brand had. So Coldwell Banker invested a hefty dollar amount into a tool called CBX. And when you guys are on, let's just put it this way, when you go on and you're searching for things and you like things on social media, those things are just tracked by search engines. We all know that. So what happens is you can get ads from companies or whatnot, but what CBX actually does is it actually was able to detect sellers that are potentially looking to sell versus people who are showing an active interest in buying based off where they're going, what they're looking at, clicking on, etc. Sites that they're looking for information for realtors on. So this is called, we just quickly call it big data. Instead of going to CBX separately, they've now merged with Moxi. So this tool is now provided to you at no extra cost, no cost for any of this, and it's built right in. This is going to show your seller that you have the potential to find the specific potential buyer for their property. Okay, so this is just a little explanation of what CBX is and what it can include. So it can include the median age, the average family size, average income, etc. So it's just a quick overview of what it is before we start to jump into it. So actually, that slide's out of order. Here we go. So this is what, we have 2 slides, and this is what it looks like. For their specific house in that community, on that street, their comparison, the home buyer profile. So if I go in here, it just shows the median stats in that area. So homes versus people. Okay, that just gives you an idea. So when we are marketing as a realtor, who we're targeting. You guys can look at this a little bit more detailed when you guys get into yours, but here is the breakdown. Okay, so let's zoom in here quite a bit. Now, if you look at this CBX buyer profile intelligence digital sheet, you can actually see it's pulling based off the analytics and the data, your specific buyer, okay? So for this property right here, 21756 Scenic Point, your potential buyer based off activity is most likely right here, okay? Now it's gonna break it down into color. So if you noticed here, a highest match is black. So your buyer is more potentially to be found in this specific area. So if I hover over here, it tells me there's a 91% chance that your buyer is in here in this neighborhood, and they're likely to buy within a certain amount of time during the month. So let's go ahead and close that. So I'm going to go ahead, and you can see how I'm clicking on it and it brings up that interactive data. So my house is right here. So if you guys can see, there's my little orange dot. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the black ones right there. Do you see the difference? 100% buyer profile match versus if we get out here a little bit further out, my number's going down and it's at a 54% buyer potential match. So let's think about this. As a client, I'm saying, wow, you know what? They might be able to find my buyer quicker because they know where to look. They know where they probably are. Agent side, you're like, you know what? Do you think I'm really going to spend a campaign for Facebook dollars advertising to these people in the city? No. So you're saving your marketing dollars. You're taking the advice that they're offering here through the buyer profile, through this big data that's provided to you. And you're going to then scroll in here a little bit. My mouse is very, very, sorry about this, guys. I'm going to try to scroll in a little bit. My mouse is very touchy. So every time I touch something, it like flips up. So what you're going to do, instead of marketing to a really, here we go. I'm going to get in a little bit quicker. Is that better for you guys to see now? Oh, good Lord. Come on, mouse. Here we go. So I'm going to spend my time going to Facebook and doing a marketing ad very specifically right here in this area where my buyer profile matches directly. So you could even zoom in on this and get the community. You can get the neighborhood of your highest, most likely buyer. So that way, when I'm in social media, let's say I'm just a potential consumer and I've got my cell phone and I'm rolling through here and I'm looking at my Facebook ads that pop up just in your normal feed, it's going to show up to me if I'm one of those potential areas because I'm a likely buyer. So what's happening is you're letting the people who are most likely, they're showing that they want to buy a house. They're showing the activity that they want to buy a house. You're showing them your property ad. You're showing them your agent ad. And you're not showing the people who have zero interest and have shown zero interest. So you're saving your money on an agent end, but then on a on a consumer end, you're ensuring to them that the time you spend is going to be efficient to get your actual buyer versus just doing a general marketing, throwing an ad on social media and hoping somebody in the world sees it, because that's going to waste your money. And I know you guys might have felt like that in a previous campaign. The other aspect here is I've got a generalized market right here. I'm going to be able to pinpoint marketing postcard campaigns. Marketing department, we've already got a lot of them created for you guys. You just have to reach out to the marketing department and give them the address. They'll get the photos and they'll make you postcards. Now I'm going to spend my money, my dollars, giving a postcard to the person who physically showed online that they were ready to buy a house or they were showing interest in buying a house, instead of handing a postcard that I've paid for to someone who's going to pick it up and throw it in the trash. That is the distinction between CBX and another company that doesn't have it. We have the potential and we have shown, proven already time and time again how this buyer profile has physically turned a potential client into a buyer. And we have sold properties using this CBX tool. So it's really powerful. And if you want to really hone in, I mean, you can look, this neighborhood in this property, my most highest buyer profile, here's where they're looking. See this? Google, Facebook, Amazon. So am I going to waste time marketing possibly somewhere else where they might not be? Probably in paper, newspaper? No. Now this is physically telling me my better bet is to do a Google ad or a Facebook ad because this is where the consumer is. So it is just an incredible, incredible opportunity for you guys. And there are other options here at the bottom, and it's just showing you by clicking on the little tab at the very bottom on the right. If I click on this, it just shows me households that changed hands. And then if I click on the other green icon, it just shows me change in total population. So that's just general knowledge. But really when it comes to selling your property, you're going to want to focus in on the main toolbar here, the buyer profile tool. So let me jump down to the next slide here real quick. And this is one of my favorites, staging to sell. Okay, when you are talking to your seller, okay, I'm the seller. Let's just put it into perspective. I have a cat litter pan in the kitchen. We all know we've been through those properties because we love our kitties, we love our puppies. We know darn well that having that litter pan in the kitchen is not the best for staging a property to allow someone to come in and stop looking at the litter pan and smelling things and look at the house. So what we want to do is we want to clear the clutter. We want to have that conversation that says, you know, maybe that litter pan would be best bet somewhere else, but we don't want to be the bad guy. So this gets to kind of set the bar for what they can expect or what's expected of them, right? Some things they can focus in on here to make their house the most viewable to sell, because the whole concept is somebody needs to look at that property and they need to have that emotional reaction of, I want to be in it. I want to live in it. I want to go sit in that bathtub. And it's very difficult when you've got a lot of clutter, there's a whole bunch going on, there's a mess everywhere, or you have certain things where like a litter pan in the bathroom, in the kitchen would really deter the focus. So this lets you have that general conversation as an agent and just say, you know, in all of our properties, we love the property to sell at the highest capacity to allow someone to love it as much as you do, and love it as much as we do. So this gives them that general thing in here. And you can see, and this doesn't have to be, here's the deal, this isn't just you to them, like you're not targeting them and telling them that their house isn't to par. This is a flat thing that you give everyone. So again, it's making you prepare them and enable them, but not again have to be that bad guy to have that conversation. But it does say in here, this is what they can do to prepare their areas, and right in here, before each showing. And this is something that you provide to them up front, so those expectations are known in advance. And it can help you with difficult conversations. Sometimes people want a little advice on where to possibly put that litter pan. And that's something where your strategy and your skill as an agent can definitely help. Next, numbers. Okay, even if you are not just analytical and you like to see, you know, graphics and all that, this still definitely matters to you. So this allows us to show not only where our company worldwide is and look at our sales volume and our closed units, but us personally as Coldwell Banker Schmidt family of companies. Where are we? Which means where are you? So I don't even care if you've never sold a house before. These numbers are your numbers. And this is powerful for them to see our tools, our agents, our technologies are moving our number, and we have a huge number of sales volume. So we've got a great amount of closed units. And look at this, we are the #1 franchise nationally. Now keep in mind, these numbers have changed. And I just recently met with Tracy and some of the team on Monday. She said they're going to be updating these. So don't worry. When I show you where to get these from, you're only going to have access to the most updated when they update it. So you're not going to have to make your presentations and then change them. So this is just so people can see where we position globally versus locally. We also want them to understand that we're more than just a company. We're more than just business. We've got values. So I think having this wonderful Schmidt values slide in there is really wonderful to help dictate and differentiate you from just, you know what, that next agent who just wants a paycheck, wants a commission. You don't want to be in that sphere. So this is going to start breaking it up as to why it's going to be different and why it's preferred to select you over somebody else. These slides, basically what they're doing is they're talking about you and lifting up the company without you having to be like, look at me, I'm great. You're great, we're great. We can do this in a classy way by letting these powerful slides speak for us. And this is a great one. I always love to say, let's show our power team. You're not a single agent. You have an ASC. You have a whole marketing team. You have technology specialists. You have trainers. You have a huge, vast support system behind you. And the story you're explaining, the reality is they don't just get you. We got George on here. Hi, George. We don't have just, I'm not just working with George. When I work with George, I get his marketing team. I get his digital media specialists. I get his graphic designers. I get his luxury ambassador intelligence, right? So your power team is going to be really, really important for them to understand what it would mean to work with you and why you would be more valued and more of a resource. So the next slide in here, as you can see, is very important. Where buyers are searching today. I want them to hit this number right here. Their eyes see online 95%. So if 95% of people are looking online to buy their house today, and our tools and technologies are available online, then that positions us to better suit their needs to sell their house. or to find a buyer. So here's where the next slide, very strategically, I placed it. We are the #1 most visited real estate brand online. Okay, so let's see what this does. Let's go back. I'm reading this, how buyers search for homes. 95% search online. Bam. We are the #1 most visited brand online. Why wouldn't they pick you? Why wouldn't I pick you as an agent? Because if 95% of people are online and you're the most visited brand online, your tools and technologies have been empowered to allow properties to move quickly and to find a buyer, why wouldn't I? And again, you're not talking about any other brokerages. You don't need to talk about RE/MAX or Century 21 or Keller Williams. Don't even bring the name up. Your conversation and these slides have that conversation for you and really show the power of our brand and our tools and our technology. We really do have wonderful platforms that are really propelling us to go forward. And again, we want to show them, where we are online and all the different locations that we're advertising, that we're posting. And we put in here, how many followers we have. These things make a difference to people today. And these are the things you might not even consider when you're creating even a listing presentation or a buying presentation. This is just, again, showing our brand power. Again, video views on social media, that's a big number. 17 million, 95 million. And guess what? When we have our tools that we have, like listings to leads, and we're working on our presentations that can create video tours and post them to YouTube, post them to Facebook, that's their property. These views are their properties in our marketing and our advertising. So it absolutely makes a vast difference in how we're going to move their property. Where are we marketing? This is huge, okay? So you're able to say, by working with you, we've got like over 700 places. It's like 700, I always say 700 plus locations where your property as a seller are going to be showing. And I need them to see these major places, these names, okay? Because to them, there's commercials. They see Realtor, they see Zillow. Those are brand commercials on TV, even though we are now too. But they still need to see that our information, our housing, our listing for their property starts off with us at the MLS, and we feed it out to them. So we are the main source, but it also allows them to see how many people, look at this, HGTV front door. We've got all of these eyeballs looking at the property just by working with you. This is a very, very, very important graphic. If you don't have most of the others, at least make sure that one is included. Bring more buyers. So this is just allowing, you can choose to have some of these and choose to take them out, but what stands us apart? We've got a relocation department. If you're trying to sell a property, guess what? We have relocation departments involved with people coming in out of town. That would be an expanded opportunity for you to find a buyer through us versus a brokerage that doesn't have that capability and they only have local resources. Okay, here's what you're going to learn. Part of it is going to be in 201. I made this like in 5 minutes right before our training, so it just shows you how quick. But as an agent, you can actually do an About Me page. You can do a custom page. So I just pulled this video as an example. If you, whether this is a listing presentation, a seller or a buyer tour, or a personal presentation, you can work with somebody and get some advice on how to actually do this video for yourself. But it doesn't need to be as produced either. It's just a quick, instead of a text bio, it's just a quick video bio. I'm not really going to play it all, but I just want you to get a good idea of how you can make the impression.
I love helping
to your client.
My role isn't only about negotiating the best price for my clients. It's about understanding each person's unique needs, being readily available to my clients, and communicating effectively, whether it's buying or selling a home.
Immediately, doesn't that say more than just a quick text? Just by reading. Their video is very, very powerful, and I know that we're really trying to get more people to use it. And a lot of it is because even YouTube is owned by Google. So if you want to come up better in a search result for Google and your search engines, using a Google product is going to get you higher, number one. Number two, when you're using video, you can put it on social media. We can put it right into our presentation. It just takes your presentation a step above the others, and it really makes it stand out, and it helps to break apart people that might not be the best to work with you and helps attract people who would be better to work with you, which, trust me, I know in the beginning you think I want anyone, but you'll realize very soon you want people that you can really stand to work with. So that's just one thing, an idea that I put in here. You can also embed brand video commercials. What is our company about? What's the point of why we're doing this? Bringing families home. This is more than just. So this is our brand commercial. We'll pause that, but you know, it isn't just about a paycheck. It's letting them come home, have, especially at this last year, having their place to call home. We can also plug in pictures. You can add pictures and videos. I just happened to pull one from our virtual open house from our schmidtresources.com. So you can add even text. This is my tagline on my website. You can add video, you can add text, you can add pictures, and you can really make your page just really stand out from the rest. And by the way, it doesn't take a lot of time and effort to do that either. And then finally, it's just your profile page. All of this information is pulling in from the account section, which I'm about to show you. And in addition to what you guys see here, when you connect your Zillow reviews, so when I'm going to show you how to plug in that email for Zillow, it'll pull your reviews you already have from people in Zillow, and it will allow them to show up right here. I'm not selling, so I don't have those reviews, but it would allow them to show here. So again, I'm not going to come in here. If I'm the agent now, I am not going to say, I'm really great, you should see my numbers and awards from last year. Nope, not at all. I'm the farthest thing from that. This is going to do the talking. My reviews are going to do the talking for me. And what I want you guys to understand is this presentation tells our story. It tells them how great we are. So when I'm having my listing presentation and I'm going through all this, I'm actually going to be focused on now, I'm focusing on Isabella. What does Isabella need? What does Isabella expect from this transaction? What is her expectation of how long the property will be on the market? What is her expectation of price point? What are her expectations of me as an agent? This is key because you get so many presentations from realtors where they give you a little pamphlet that tells them their tools are the best, their technologies are the best, they're just the best. Guess what? If you're talking to me, that's cool. Everyone's saying that. That's kind of what's in my mind. I want to know what's different about you. Why is my experience with you different? And I want you to listen to me. I want you to understand what I truly need. That is a differentiation point between having a listing presentation with somebody and converting to a seller. Makes sense? That conversation point, when you're talking to them, it is about them. It shouldn't be about you anymore. This can be sent to them in advance, so they have it prior to coming to talk to you, or you can do a virtual Zoom like we're doing now, or a Google Hangout, and you can go through the slides with them. You technically can do it with them in person, but you really want to make this about them and their expectations. And this is an amazing opportunity for a seller in today's day, a buyer in today's day, to feel like they were part of the process of pricing and understanding their house in the market. So when they make that decision to overprice by $15,000, they emotionally already know the opportunity of not selling. And then all of a sudden, you're not the person that they can't stand at the end because you didn't get to sell their house like you said, right? So now they are part of it. They're a partnership with you basically. And I think you find that people tend to want to work with you more, and people are going to want to refer you more when they feel like you aren't just there to drive the traffic and get your commission. When you're including them, when this is teaching them about the market, it's going to allow them to feel more a part of the process and more likely to work with you today, one, versus also work with you next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And I've actually had an instance where I even did this within my own family. I sent this presentation. They actually forwarded the presentation to somebody else because they were interested in possibly selling their house. And they said, well, you just got to check this out because look at what this company can do for you, right? So this isn't even just your seller. This goes on to them sharing this very easily. Like you saw, I started off by showing you guys my email here. Let me move my screen. Okay. It started off on their end. Their experience was this. Very quickly, I can take this email and forward it to my mom, dad, brother, sister. Now I've also given it to the seller, right? So the seller can potentially email it to their sphere. Maybe they know a buyer that just needs to see their property. They can also take this presentation if they really wanted to, if it's a listing presentation or a buyer presentation. They could even share it on social media themselves. It just depends on, each situation's a little different. That would often happen a little bit more if it was actually a listing presentation, a personal presentation. So if you use Moxi to actually create your own personal agent presentation, which you can do, why not plug it on social media? Why not share it to your sphere? Why not add it in? Because it's a digital, look at this, it's a digital presentation where we can take that address at the top. I can put that in your, if it's a listing presentation, in your email signature. That can go in your newsletters. It can go in your social media feed. It can go anywhere that you have a digital media link. So the capacity to work with this system is really, really awesome. Now let's do it. Let's jump in. I gave you guys the presentation, the receipt, the conversation, but now we're going to go in and actually set it up pretty quickly. I want you to understand too, I'm talking through it. If I wasn't talking through it, it'd be even quicker. It's just 5 simple steps. Before we jump in and do those 5 steps, there is one thing that you guys need to do one time. If you haven't done it yet, you need to do this first. If you've already done it, tune me out for a minute or two, or you just watch just to make sure you didn't miss anything. But I'm going to show you the basic information that's going to feed to your, let's look at the top here. If you're looking at my screen, right now I logged into Moxi. We're going to go ahead and make sure the information is correct so that it feeds to Present, which is our presentation tool I'm showing you today, Engage, which is our CRM and our marketing campaigns, and your website. All 3 of these, all the information, your photo, your contact information, your profiles, all stem from what is right here. So to start, the first thing you're going to do to log in, you're going to go to my.schmidtresources.com. That is how you log into Moxi. It's my.schmidtresources.com. Or if you are in schmidtresources.com, you can also click, what we've done is we've created, you can pick your region, your state, and we've created a Moxi square. So within here, if you click right in Moxi, it's got a right big logo. Right at the top, you can also click on myschmidtresources.com and it takes you in to log in right away. So you can do it directly or through Schmidt Resources. If you look right underneath that, just so you know, that email or that PDF that I made that I'm going to send you, I'm going to send you the benefits of Moxi. We've also added it right here. So you can get it from me in an email, but if you're referring other people to, they can get it here. So I'm going to go ahead and just get to our login screen. Once you log in, it's going to log you in and take you to your account profile section. If you've never logged in, please see your ASC because they're going to give you your login email and password. Now, once you have done the login step, it's going to take you here. In the top right-hand corner, you're going to have like a blank profile icon until you put your photo in. But I just want you to see in the top right-hand corner, when I click on the down arrow, it gives me options. Now I've got stuff in here you guys won't see because I'm in here as leadership, but you're going to have this option here that says my account, and it's just going to load you to the same page I was just on. The reason I tell you that is because sometimes if Moxi doesn't log you in and take you to your account section directly, that is how you get there. You just click on your icon in the top right-hand corner and click my account. Then it takes you here. So you're just going to quickly run your eyes down here through personal information, click on contact info, and you're going to click on web info. And if these are not updated and you have to make sure they're updated, it's very quick and easy. All you do at the top, so underneath where your name is, there's a white section here that tells you the offices you're with. You are going to click on the blue edit pencil. This is now going to open and expand all three of those areas at the same time. So I'm going to be able to edit web info, contact info, and personal info, all by clicking that edit pencil once. The important thing here is web info. This first box, that is where your bio should go. If you do not have a bio, it's going to show up as blank pages on your presentation. Your website's going to say about me, and it's not going to have any information. So if you do not have a bio at this point, please reach out to your ASC, because we can help work with you to create a bio. And there's also a team member on the marketing team by the name of Danielle. It's really great at working with script. I also have people send me their bio all the time to proofread. Maybe sometimes I give direction on rewording. So please use your ASCs, your managers, or even your marketing team to help craft and define that bio. Doesn't need to be very long, by the way. Nobody wants to read a whole resume. There's different places for that, but all you're going to do, copy it and paste it here, or you're going to type right in the box, just like as if you were emailing somebody or using Microsoft Word. In addition to that, on the bottom here is where you're going to plug in all of your social media. So if you have Facebook, if you have Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest, if you have a blog, you're going to put those pages here. Why? When I receive your presentation or look at your website or get your campaign marketing, what Moxi does is it actually makes them only have to click the icon, and then I go directly to your social media. So by not putting it here, you're just stopping traffic from coming to you. But by putting it here, you're enabling traffic to come to you. You're helping them make it easy by just clicking and going. So again, that's all you're going to do. You're just going to make sure everything's correct. If your email needs to be changed, you can do so. Your personal information, if that needs to be changed, you can do so. And then you just at the top, when you're done with all three sections, click save. That's a one and done, unless you change your email or something, but one and done, and then you don't have to do this part again. To add your photo, you're just going to click on the little camera icon and then upload it from your computer. So far, this is nothing real new. This is pretty much the same thing as any tool that you use to update it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take our eyes and gravitate to the left side. We have a navigational panel on the left. And what you guys are going to see is My Account and Agent Tools. Ignore the bottom one. You won't have that. I'm going to show you that right now we are on the profile section. But if you don't see anything, keep in mind that these little tiny arrows open and expand. So if you don't see it, you're going to click on that and it's going to open up. For the first time you're in here, or if you haven't done it yet, you're going to make sure you do the profile section like we just did, and then you're going to click on MLS. Now, because this is live interaction, they are going to need your MLS ID number. What that's going to do is that's going to help the data on your presentation be accurate as of the minute. And then it's going to help people when they're on your website actually go through our MLS and have live data fed as well and showcase, here's the key, showcase your listings. So if you want to have those highlighted, you need to make sure that you have it here for them to work. So all you do is so fast and so easy. You're going to either go through the search options here and go down, or type in your MLS. You're literally just going to select your MLS and then type in your MLS number. If you're brand new and you have to still go through the MLS training and get that ID, work with your ASC because they'll help get you to the right place to do that. But literally all I did was I plugged in my number and hit validate. And within seconds, it was connected. So nothing else. Literally just put my MLS and then I hit validate. That's it. The next thing that you're going to do, so you're doing profile, if you're marking it down, step 1, profile. Step 2, MLS. Step 3 is under agent tools. So steps 1 and step 2 are under My Account, profile, and MLS. Step 3 is agent tools and integrated tools. Again, you're only doing this one time. Every other time you come into any of the tools, you don't need to do this again. So once it loads, you're going to see that we have an integration that we worked directly with both .loop, which is your interactive contracts, so your contracts. And then also it's going to be integrated with Zillow. So when somebody is working with you and leaves a review for you, which most people love to go to Zillow to do it, what's great is by plugging in your email that's associated with these, it's going to pull in your reviews. It doesn't tell them any information about you. It doesn't tell Zillow anything about your client. You're not giving Zillow anything. It's a one-way feed. Zillow will bring your reviews in and show them on your website and also show them on your listing presentation, your buyer presentation, etc. So let's show you. For .loop, you're just simply going to hit connect account. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put in the email address. It's going to go to .loop and make you sign in just to show you. But you're typing in your actual .loop email associated with the company. So if you're not familiar with which that one is, ask your ASC because they will know that information. So that's it. Go back up. So for .loop, you're going to type in the email address associated. For Zillow, you're going to do the email address. I have to be very clear here. And I was putting hers in to see if her reviews would come in because she's got a lot, but I didn't have time to set it up. But so I would put my email in here that is associated with my Zillow account. So here's the differentiation. Your .loop needs to be your company provided .loop account. Your Zillow needs to be the email that you signed up with Zillow for your profile at. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's your business account. For example, I have a company email, which is elizabeth.glass@cbschmidt, Ohio. But if in Zillow, I use my personal email, my personal Gmail, and that's what I have set up at Zillow, I'm going to be putting my personal Gmail in here, exactly like Carolyn did. She was in Zillow. She signed up for a free Zillow profile, and then she used this email. Then she plugged her email in here and hit save. And instantly, on her side, in her Moxi account, her Zillow reviews immediately pulled over. So if you have any questions with that, you can reach out to your ASC, RSC, training team member, or myself, and we can help you with that if you connect it and you don't see it coming through. Usually it's because people might have more than one account, they don't realize it. So we help them figure it out pretty quick. That's it. That's it for the setup. Now we're going to show you how to make a presentation and how quickly we can get this done. We took a long time talking about it. Now let me show you how quick you can do to make it. And again, if you guys have questions, go ahead and throw them into the chat bar. But as Terry pointed out, in here, Florida does not use .loop, you use app files. And on previous training sessions, I did let the Florida users know that I have spoken with Moxi, and I did let them know if there's a point where they can do something like that with app files like we are with .loop to let us know ASAP, because we would love to have that same opportunity for you guys to have that integration as well. But Zillow would still apply to you. Perfect. Thank you for that, Terry. Good to mention that so you guys aren't looking for that. Okay, so let's jump in. And hopefully you guys are ready. To get into Moxi Present to create a presentation, we are going to click Present in the top navigation bar in our Moxi account. When it loads, you're going to have nothing showing for you in your library until you make presentations. As you can see, I've made plenty. So my landing page, the page it goes to, is my presentation library. Every time I make a presentation, it saves it for me here. So I don't have to worry about where did it go, losing information, and I can easily update it. So as you can see now, I've got 4 pages of them. So don't feel alarmed when you don't have anything until you make one. Before I go into showing you how to create one, I'm going to show you a trick that I do all the time. Technically, we're going to show you how to create a new presentation from scratch. But let's say today, you guys time block, I teach you how to create the presentation, you make one. I'm going to show you how to take that same presentation and very quickly duplicate it for another seller instantly without having to create a new presentation every time. That way you're building one presentation, taking the time to do it, and then duplicating it and then just changing the MLS number so that you can very quickly and easily have the system create the presentation for you. So if you're looking, we've got that presentation I just showed you was Isabella Seller. Now, if I clicked on this, it would actually take me into the digital presentation. But if I look right next to it, if I went into the pencil, that's how I'm going to edit it. So if I made a change or I need to make a change, I can edit it there. But here is the hiding thing that you never see until you click on it. These three dots. I technically, what I do all the time, and I do it every time unless I'm training, I come in here and I click duplicate. And it literally takes my exact same presentation. See at the bottom? It now is copied. Now all I do, now put it at the top for me. So see how it's the same presentation? If I want this to no longer be for Scenic Point, literally all I do is I'm going to click on the edit pencil, plug in a new MLS number, and it's going to automatically do the entire presentation, pull in the photos, pull in the data, and instantaneously my report will be ready for this new property address. So I'm going to show you how to create one so you can understand what I mean by that. So this is the one we just did. To create a new presentation, we're going to go ahead, we're going to click Create New. Let me make sure I have my MLS number before we do that. Bear with me. I'm probably just going to use this one for now. Okay. All right, so here we go. We're going to very quickly create our presentation. In the top right-hand corner, we are going to click the blue Create New button. Now don't worry because we've already created all the templates for you. So you're just going to dictate what kind of presentation. I'm going to choose seller today, but remember that it's the same steps for a buyer presentation. So this would be showcasing the house that you're for a buyer. And then this is going to be down here, a buyer tour. Once they narrow it down to 3 or 4 or 5 or how many properties, the buyer tour will actually guide you through property 1 through property 2 utilizing Google Maps. So you literally, which is why I love this, and I've done this personally with my own family member, I've actually used the buyer tour to take my cell phone, and my client, which was actually son-in-law, he actually was able to take his cell phone and drive to property A, click on the photo of property A right on his phone from in the buyer tour that we sent digitally, and then he could look at all of the photos, all of the stats, all of the information. Then when we're ready to leave, he can actually click on property B, and it will give him directions by Google Maps from the first property to the second. And then you can, when he gets there, he can click on the property, see the pictures and the information, and then it can go on for as many properties as you have. But what's really cool is when you're creating that buyer tour, it actually lets you as an agent pick which properties first. So if you're like, I'd rather go to property A first and then property B, with a click, you can make that change very fast. So that's a very, very, very cool thing. And we've got training on that as well. But for now, I'm going to show you the seller process. And just to make sure to mention, if you're doing a listing presentation that's of yourself, so not a house, so like your own personal presentation of you and your company, you would pick non-listing. Or if you're creating a newsletter, you would pick non-listing. Those you would create. Now here, I'm going to click seller, and we're going to recreate the presentation that I just showed you. Good thing is we've already got templates in here. So if you're going to do a regular residential presentation, you're going to click default seller. If you want to do one on a luxury end, you're going to click Coldwell Banker templates, and then there's a luxury branded one that's in here. So if you can see in here, there's right in here. Well, if you keep going, there's a standard global luxury presentation. So the difference is if I choose the regular blue branded, it's going to be residential. But if I were to choose the global luxury, it's branded luxury. So it just makes it easy for you to not have to change a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and click it and hit continue. And then I'm going to put the person who I'm making this for. So right now we've got George on the phone. We're on the call. So I'm going to say I'm making this for George. And then I'm going to hit create. Keep in mind, they see this. So make sure you mark the name of that, something that's professional and pertaining to them. Now it's creating my presentation for me. Here's where the cool part happens. One, I want you to notice one thing at the top, guys, because we're getting pretty close to being done here. But if you notice, we've got 5 steps. I said 5. 1, property, subject property. 2, search. 3, listings. 4, estimate. 5, pages. So guess what? You cannot get lost. No matter what page you're on, this navigational bar is always there. So I can go on page 1 and get all the way to page 3. And then I know for a fact I can go all the way back to page 1 and it will have everything saved. I do not have to go in and re-enter information. And I can go back and forth through here as many times as I need to. But the great news is this automatically navigates you right down the line. I'll let you watch me do it firsthand. So since this is a property, a seller property, you can do one of 2 things. You can come in here and type in the information as needed. So you can add in the location, the MLS area, the school, and you're going to type out all of the information for that property. But here's the key, if that property has been on the market within the last 6 years or so, then what you can do is you can actually look that property up and pull an old MLS number. Yes, even if it's not on the market today, you can pull an old MLS number, and then you're going to be able to plug that in right here. So if I was to go ahead and hit paste, see how I have an MLS number in there? Watch what happens here. This is the photos and this is the text. I'm going to hit copy. Instantaneously, this platform pulls in the MLS photo, all the photos, and then it now, see how it pulled in all my data? This is amazing. It just saved me so much time. And if I don't love the photo that it pulled for me, I can come in here and I can browse from my own computer and pull a photo that I've taken, or I can go into the MLS and then do a different property display. So it lets you pull old data or current data. Now, if you know for a fact it's been 4 years and this particular property, the seller, you're talking to the seller, they tell you I've updated and I've added a fireplace and I've done all that. Here's what you can do. Yes, it pulled the information in for you, but I still can come in here and I can still change anything that I need to change so that the property is accurately priced based off the changes made. So even though it's automatically pulling in the data, which is amazing, you can still edit as needed or add as needed. In addition, you can choose to use the remarks that were there, or in the event you don't want to, because let's say they weren't yours, you can come in here and delete this. So you can delete and put your own comments. Again, this is going to the seller as a seller presentation. And then you can adjust the price. If you made any changes here, you can adjust the price if needed be. So we're going to go ahead and hit continue. And it's going to immediately take me to step 2. So I like to point out too, either I can hit continue at the bottom of each page, or I can just click on the next option and it will take me directly there. So here is why this interactive CMA is so great. Now, this particular property, it's pretty filtered in, so it doesn't have a lot of results on purpose, just so I don't have to dig a lot. But what it did immediately is it searched and it found my comps for me. So instead of you digging and digging and digging, it's finding your comps for you. And you can see I've got some that are pending, some that are sold, and one that is active. So I'm going to make sure I have some of each status because that's going to help us accurately price it out. And to make it super easy, all I have to do, if let's say, because sometimes you'll get 20 results, what I do is I can tell in an instant which ones I want and which ones I don't want. Now, if I wasn't training, I would take the time to click on the details button of each one, and I'd actually look at the property. And that way you can physically see, okay, yeah, this is an accurate comp, or you can say, you know what, maybe this one isn't the best comp. So here's how you get to choose which listings are included. Look up here, I've got right now next to listings, it says 0. What I do to add or include it in my presentation is when I hover over the photo, click the plus sign, it will add it. Now see how it says 1? Now, if I want to also include this property here, okay, let's do this property, and now it's going to 2, and I want to come up here and just add these properties. If I do not want to add a property, I am not going to select it. So I am not going to click the plus sign, and it will not include it. Now, if I wanted to, let's say I had 30 results here, it's just a lot. You can come up here just like as if you were doing a search on your website or the MLS and filter it out even more. You can dictate price points of your comparative house properties. You can establish how many beds or baths. And by coming in here into filters, you can do a full filter as needed. Whether you're just establishing condos, whether you want to include townhouses, and you can even come here and distinguish what type of property. So if you don't even want it to show you anything that's sold, you can make sure that's not selected. Or you can choose brokerage only or things that just have a pool. So in all together, it's pulling it for you. But if you really have a specific property, you need to filter even more. Again, you still have the power to do that. In addition, we've got this Google Map. So if you wanted to deal with the client that says, I only want to be on the north side of Albion Road and I want to be on the south side of Royalton, you're able to come right here to the draw option, and you could do a quick draw. Watch what happens. I'm going to say I want to just be, let's change that scenario. Let's say I want to be like right in the Westwood Farms area, north of it. If I drew right on my map, what it's going to do is it's only going to give me the properties in that area. See how it filtered it out? And then if I say, oh, that's not the right spot, I can come up here and hit clear, and then it can go back to my initial properties, so I don't have to worry about losing everything that I had. Okay. I'm going to come in here, let me clear out my filters again. It's taking just a second to load. Okay, so now I'm going to come in here, go back, I'm going to reset my filters. All right, and then if you want to do, if I wanted to do double draw, so as an example, this option here, multi-draw, that would mean if I wanted to be on the north side of Albion, I would draw my circle on the north side, and then it would also let me draw a separate second circle. So I can make a separate second circle just in this area, and it would only give me the listings in those circled areas, so it helps you. It also lets you do a certain radius. So if they say they want to be within so many miles of North Marks Road, you can use a radius option. Or if you want to dictate those only in a certain school district, you can click here as well. So that's it for this page right here, except when you're talking with a client, and this is pulling your CMA properties, and they say, what my neighbor on my street sold her property for $650. I want to compare my house to hers. You know it's not going to pull up here because it's not actually a CMA. It's not a property you can accurately price next to theirs because clearly it's got some upgrades, but we want to appease them. So here's what we do. At the very top of where our address is, instead of having this location highlighted, we're going to click on MLS. You're going to literally get the MLS number. So you're going to look it up, or they're going to give it to you in the MLS. And then you're going to plug the MLS number here. Immediately what's going to happen is it's going to show that property here in these results. So you're adding it on the fly. So I could be sitting in a listing presentation in person. She can say this to me, and I can pull even my already created presentation up, plug the MLS number on this search part right here. It will add it in and make it show as a comparative. And then when we actually show the presentation on that side-by-side view, they're going to start to very quickly see why you can't actually plug that in with their property to price their property, because the flooring is like way, it's done and everything's such at a high upgrade scale, which maybe your property isn't. So we're still, again, meeting the consumer where they need, and we're appeasing their needs to do that. So I'm going to go ahead. That's it for this section here. We're going to go to the next part, which either I can just click the next step, or again, I can click to continue. And right now I am on my display order. So very simply, this is just how do you want it to show? Do you want it to be ordered by low to high, high to low? It's a very quick and easy thing here. You can also add extra listings at this point. That's pretty much it for this particular page. Now the next page, is just the pricing. So remember I said you can write in here. Literally you are going to actually type your price right here, and then you're going to be able to say, I could say $519.9 as it is today. However, if you redid the floors, you might have a better pricing point at $525. So typing it here is what's going to make it show up for you on your presentation. So especially if it's an older listing and you're talking about doing a new listing for today's market, this is where you're going to type, okay, if you did the floors, if you did this, if you did that, it's going to be able to potentially price point you at this dollar amount. So they're seeing a comparison today versus what changes could affect their price point to be. We also have an estimated, that's estimated pricing, but if you chose to do an estimated net pricing, you could technically fill this out so they can see net proceeds. You need to make sure that you tell them this is estimated, because clearly you guys don't know what there are until the actual title company and everything breaks down the cost. So you'll need to make sure that they know this is not set in stone. But most people typically like to go ahead and do that hide option, and they like to work and use the net proceeds or seller proceeds from their particular title company. So if you don't know who that might be, reach out to your ASC or your RSC or manager, and they can refer to you your local area title company or their preference in seller net sheet tools, because that tends to, let's say, you know, you're going through the title company itself, they know what their prices are. So it's less of an estimate and more of a accurate pricing. I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. And here we go. Our presentation is made. And as you see here, it's got my presentation loaded, but on the left-hand side, we have all of the pages. So these are already done. We've already built the presentation. Technically, if I did nothing to it, I could hit view and it would show me the presentation in the print preview that we already saw, and I can run through the presentation. So if I did nothing to it, it's ready to go. As you guys can see in here, let's go through here. It's got images in here for me that I've added. I'm going to show you how to add these pages in just a second here as well. But all of, let's go in here, status comparison, all that stuff's already in here. So they have the interaction immediately. But what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to send it, but I want to show you how to cater the order of what you need to do, because you have your own personal flow of the way you might want to conduct or carry a conversation. So if these are not in the order you want them to be, you can move them. And so by clicking on that particular slide, let's go ahead and see this here. Clicking on each one loads the page so you can see what it is. So as an example, if you really feel like the listing overview should be first, you're just going to take it and click on it and grab it and pull it, and you're going to place it wherever you would like to put it. So you have full control. It's already done. It's in an order that doesn't necessarily mean much. You can come in and you can dictate and move and manipulate where these are landed. If you hover over them and there is an edit pencil, that means you can edit something to do with that particular field. Some of them, most of them are editable, but some of them are not. So you can come in here and choose to edit. For those of you who have a Zillow profile that is connected, you're going to click on this edit pencil under the agent profile tab. And then what's going to happen for you guys, here we go, perfect. You're going to come over here and see how it says Zillow rating. This will not show up until you add in the Zillow email on the account profile section. So if you get here and don't see it, remember that's it. You just forgot that one step to connect your email in the account profile section. Once you do that, then you're going to be able to come here and see these options. And I'm going to slide this to yes. Yes, I want to show my Zillow ratings. Also want to show them on a PDF, so I have it available for a PDF, those who need to receive the PDF instead. And I'm going to dictate how many reviews are going to show. So I always say 10. I mean, you want to show as many as possible. So let me go ahead and X out. Let's see, Carolyn's might have connected now. It's going to take a second here. There it is. See how those Zillow reviews show up immediately? So literally, granted I used Carolyn, so don't be surprised with her name in there. But now that last sheet is going to let me have each and every review and load more and more. So I can get all of the feedback I need about my agent without my agent having to toot their own horn. It's a classy way to go about doing it and show your expertise and the power of your being as an agent without having to, talk so much about yourself. So those are some of the things you can edit and change and maneuver. But I'm going to show you if you wanted to take this particular presentation and save it as a template so that you can use it again and again and again. We even have that option right here. You're just going to click Save As. And let's say this was your seller presentation. Click on this. Oh, there you go. And then you could come in here and type a title name for it, like Seller Presentation. And then you would be able to choose what it's for and hit Save. Now, from here on out, you're going to be able to edit this particular presentation. Oh, I already used that name before. I have to do something else. But now you can have this as a basic template that shows up for you when you're creating new templates. So let's go ahead. Presentation 2. I'm going to hit cancel because I've already done it so many times. But that's how you can save it as a template. Now, what you're going to learn in the future session is going to be how to make custom pages. But one thing I'm going to show you how to do now, and this is the very last thing, is how you can add our brand pages from your blue book or your black book. So our listing presentation pages. Remember that beautiful slide that had how many where buyers search, and that beautiful slide that showed in there that we're the #1 online? I'm going to show you right now how and where to get it. At the top of our navigational panel of all of our pages, we're going to click Add Page. Very easy here. We're going to click Add from Library, and I'm almost done. And you're going to see our library pages that we've already taken the time to load. So you want, remember those CBX pages? That was those buyer profile pages. They're right here. This is where you're going to get them. You're going to come over here, click CBX pages, and it's going to say buyer profile and buyer profile map. All you do, watch this, takes seconds. Add, bam. Now, not only is it in my presentation, it's already interactive. I don't even have to do anything. That's it. That's the extent of what I have to do. If I wanted to add some of those presentation pages, I'm going to click brokerage pages, and you're going to see how we've made it very nicely organized, where if you want to do just the residential listing presentation, you're going to click on blue book. If you want to do the luxury black book presentation, you're going to click on black book. Watch how fast I do this. It loads each page. So if you're not familiar with what this is, it is literally our CB blue book. It's our presentation book that we've made digital. And some of you who would just want to view it in a visual format, this is what it is. We've made a digital listing presentation, and it has all of these beautiful pages in it. And we've done a separation of this book and made each page separate so that you can see this. Does that look familiar? You can pull in what you want from this digital book. And we've done that very easily. Go back into my presentation page. See how they're all broken down, and they actually have what the page is, core values, is literally entitled the same thing. So you're literally just going to come in here and select the pages that you want. So like I'll put in here your support team. I liked that one. I'm going to click add. So all you're going to do one time is you're going to jump in here and add the pages you want to your presentation. And you can either exclude some or add them all, but I think it's kind of a lot of pages. So if you feel like you have something that you want to take off or not use, after you add it, you just click remove. So that's it. So all the blue book pages are here. So what I would recommend, just as kind of a summary here, I would create a presentation for a seller. I would create a presentation for a buyer, right? So you're doing one presentation for a seller, one presentation for a buyer, and then I'm going to keep duplicating that and changing the MLS number so that it updates this pre-made template, but with the new buyers or new sellers information. That way you can literally make a full presentation for somebody in a matter of 5 minutes. I could meet you at the grocery store. You could find out I'm a realtor, give me your MLS number, your address number, and I can find the MLS. and I can have a presentation made for you in 5 minutes while we sit over coffee. So it's so great for you guys. Now I'm going to show you how I get back to my presentation. Now that you know where to get these pages and how to add them, you can either do one of two things. You can click library and take you back to presentation, which is the digital view or the presentation layout, or you can click the word pages up here. So again, this is step 5. This is that page we already end up on step 5. And this is where our navigational pages were. And you watched me just add some pages in by clicking add page, and I clicked add from library. Now you can see those pages are here, and it loads them most of the time at the very top. So if those brand new pages that I just added, see that page I just added, if I want to maneuver that and move it down, I can. Because typically, if you think about the mind of, let's say, a seller, they probably want to see their house and their statistics and their data first. So the presentation I showed you to begin with, what I did is I put all of the property specific slides at the top, and then I took all of the brand content and put it underneath that. So that way we're explaining the story of the market today, helping them accurately understand pricing, and then we're going to get into why we're the most important to do it. So we're positioning them for pricing and then positioning them to see that we are the best to market them at that pricing. Does that make sense? So there's like a process behind it. And so that your receiving feeling after the presentation is done makes a lot of sense and you're not jumping around. So we've pretty much created the presentation, we've added pages, and I've showed you how you can view it. This is how we send it. We're almost done here. I'm going to click on send at the very top. I'm going to go back for those who were looking away. So if you see here, I've got my 5 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the top of my last step, I can either view it to see it as a digital presentation or a print presentation, or I can choose to hit send. Now you're going to type in who it's going to, and there you're just literally going to type their name in here. And then if you have your sphere already in your engage system, it's going to find it for you, by the way. So if you have all your people in our engage system, it can find them for you. And here's the key. See this right here? This is the digital presentation. But if you also want them to get that PDF print view, this is it. Click on it and you're done. Now they're going to get that beautiful email that shows this digital presentation to click and also the print-friendly version that I can download. So that's how I did it. It was just a matter of seconds where I put in their email, I selected PDF, and you can put a special greeting in here. So if you want to type your own message in, this is the presentation I was referring to, or here's your property analysis, etc. And then I always do this. It's automatically defaulted to send you a copy. So they get one, but then you get one. Why is that beautiful? Because if I'm doing what I'm doing with you now and you're my client and I'm the agent, I can send it to myself. I literally can open it with them and I can go page by page and they can look at their screen. I can see my screen. So even if we're not on a Zoom, we're just on the phone on speaker or whatever, we can go through it together. Or if I have my iPad and I'm sitting next to them and they have an iPad or whatever the scenario is, we have access to be on the same page literally at the same time. So the last thing in here, I think that was pretty much for 101 what I really wanted to cover. Other than this, if you click on the more option, you can also create a quick flyer and you can take the data from your property and it lets you pull in from the MLS and create marketing flyers as well. So let's jump into the chat bar. I know you've seen the presentations and I've gone over quite a bit. Right now, I just want to take some time to see what your questions are. What questions do you have on this platform? Do you have specific things you want me to show again? But ultimately, if you can all jump to the chat bar, even if you don't have a question, I would like your feedback. What do you think of this tool? Do you think it is something that now that you've seen it, is something that's powerful to help you use to obtain a seller or a buyer? And also, I want you to really just start charging your brain. I'm the type where it's like creativity of how can I use it and where can I use it? Now that you've made this presentation, I want you to think about who can you make one for? So your homework would also be Who can I make one for? And start with yourself. Use your house, your property. I don't even care where it's your old house or your mom or your dad or your brother and your sister. Create the presentation and who can you send it to? If you don't have someone like a brother or a sister, that's where your manager taps in. That's where we tap in your ASC. Just like at the beginning of our call, our ASC said she created one and then she sent it to her agents. That's brilliant because then you're getting that full role simulation, and then you're not going to be afraid to use it. So let's jump into the chat bar here. Let's see what we've got in here. So it says, can you show me how to get to the area and CBX that you use to create a better target area for marketing? So that's a two-part question that I have. Are you saying, do you want me to show it to you in the digital presentation, or when I'm creating the presentation, how did I get to where that slide was to add it? Can you dictate that, specify that for me, please? Because I can show you both. I want to make sure I answer your question exactly. And yes, it does create a beautiful presentation for sure. And even the luxury-ended one creates a high-end luxury one as well. Okay, so it says when you are creating it. Okay, let's do it again. I'll make it really, really quick here. I'm either going to go to create new, or since I've already created one, I can just click on that edit pencil. So remember, this lets you start from scratch, but I'm going to go into the one I already created because the option to add the CBX slides and the presentation pages are in the same place regardless of where I go. So I'm going to hit the edit pencil to open up the presentation that I just made and continue editing it. It's giving me my 5 steps. I'm on step 1. I'm just going to jump the gun. I'm going to go all the way to step 5. It's immediately going to take me back to this page, which is going to be all of my presentation pages loaded, a preview. To get to where I add Coldwell Banker brand pages or I add the CBX intelligent pages, I'm going to just go to the very, very top and I'm going to click add page. Then I'm going to click add from library. Now, if you notice, we've got it broken down here. We have report pages, which is what we've already have inside of our report. This is what we already have in the report. And then I'm going to click on CBX pages. There are only 2, so it makes it easy. You're going to come in here and it's going to say add. You're going to click add. Immediately, when you add both of them, it puts them into your presentation and they're automatically configured, and through its own intelligence, makes it interactive for you. So your step of getting those presentation pages in there is like seconds. In addition to that, I'll just break this down since we're there. My pages are any custom pages you've already created, so that's where these would be located. My brokerage pages, this is Schmidt family of companies. So these are our brand pages. So if I clicked on brokerage, so our brokerage, it's going to show me the blue book pages, which is our residential magazine listing presentation, and it's going to show me our black book. To access those, I just click on the book I want, and then next to each particular slide that I want, I'm going to click add. To specify, because I didn't mention it before, Coldwell Banker has their own pages. Some of them are duplication of what we have, so just be thoughtful if you look through theirs, because some of them we take theirs and then we put our logo on it. So you can take the time to jump through here and look, but they have 143 pages throughout all of their books. So my recommendation is just jump in here and pay attention to what you're looking at, because it is distinguished between seller and buyer. So instead of digging through here, come up to the top and just jump into the folder you want. Take a look at it, but if it looks like a sheet that we already have that has our logo on it, just ignore it and just use ours. I just don't want you guys to have the same slide twice, if that makes sense. For some of our marketing, we took what they made and put our logo on it. Does that answer that question on how to get that CBX slide into your presentation? You could let me know that. That answered that in its entirety. And then while we're waiting, then in here, so it says, is the Greater Regional Alliance of Realtors connected as an MLS location? So for all of our areas, you should have the option to connect by your MLS. If you do not have, if you have an issue with that, you can reach out to Carrie. We can make sure you guys are up and running. But as far as I know, every MLS for every region, we've got connected to interactively be working. But Carrie would be the best to answer that question, possibly JD as well. Let's see here. When you're creating, yes, thank you. And then will tomorrow's 201 be recorded? So because we're doing these live, or we're trying to stop, we don't want everyone to be so dependent on just recorded videos and not come live, because there's such a great benefit to our talking and our interaction. The intention was to not record them. If you take 201 and you jump on the call, just simply put in the chat bar, can you please record it? Like I did on our session, or should be recording. That way it's going to initiate them to record it for you. So from these specific tech trainings from now on, ask us to record it and we will. But again, that's the only reason why we have such a vast library in our training already. If I'm going into our training sessions, for example, let me just show you everything that we've trained, or that we are training. We've trained a lot. Granted, we've got changes that have happened, to each platform. So we want you guys to have the option of having the ability to go into our trainings. So let's go. So for example, playlists. If you went to Moxi Monday or Moxi long form, everything we know, we've taught already like 4 or 5 times, but these sessions, we were trying to encourage you to come live. So they won't be recorded unless you ask us. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. So now I need to try it. Yes, please go ahead. Again, my last feedback again, the first thing I did when I watched it, I thought this is cool, but I didn't effectively, totally, interactively love using it until I did one of my own house. Because then I'm like, okay, I did it, it was easy. And I have to see it and hear it and do it. I think a lot of people tend to be that same way. You need to do all 3 to really have it just click and be easy. But as I mentioned, I've got a presentation library. Let's go back. And now that I've built one presentation, I've taken the time to build a seller presentation that has the pages in it that I want, where I want, everything's ready to go. I just take that one seller presentation, and every time I want to go make a new one, I'm going to click on the dots. I'm going to hit duplicate like I did before. And then when it opens my presentation up, literally all I'm doing is I'm going to click on where it says the MLS number. And in seconds, if I change it and put a new MLS number in here and hit copy, my entire presentation is going to flip instantaneously. It is now going to be the new photos and all the new data. My presentation is going to be my new property and have not one thing from the old seller or the old property. It's pretty amazing. So I know I showed you quite a few things, but I mean, that's what I took out of it. If I can just duplicate and change MLS numbers for a sample, like I did one for a listing, one for a buyer, and then I'm just duplicating those to cater to my person. Guys, I'm saving a lot of time, and I know you can too. Question is, what if you don't have an MLS number yet? Great question. If you do not, then obviously there's no way to have any information pull over. So if it's going to be a property that you're trying to sell and it was a custom built home and has not been in the market, then this option here won't work for you because it can't pull it in. What you will do is you're just going to literally just get that information from that particular client and type it in on this page. So there's really not a lot. I mean, this is information you're probably going to get from them anyway when you're talking to them. So once you fill out this basic information, it's going to automatically interact with all the other pages, and it will pull the comps for you still interactively. So even if you do not have an MLS number and you have to type in just how many numbers of baths and bedrooms, it will still have all the interaction going forward that happens when you do the MLS. So that's it. I think that we've pretty much covered it all for 101 today. Oh, another question. If you change your presentation where your clients see the new presentation, yes. Let me finish reading before I answer that. Accidentally not duplicating. I could see that happening, or will there always have one So this is a live document, much like app files and much like .loop. So this presentation that I created right here, I sent it to my seller and she received it today. I'm going to click view presentation, and this presentation is live updated as of today. Okay, so this is the seller's end. But on an agent end, if I take this exact same presentation, let me go into my library, and I come in here into that actual presentation 2 days from now, a week from now, a month from now, or a year from now, I'm going to take Isabella's presentation. I'm going to click on edit, and I'm going to change information because something on that house changed or something in the market changed. When I make that change here, let's say they added a bedroom. I'm going to say now they have 5 bedrooms. The minute that I have made that change, it is a live feed. So I don't even have to resend this to them. I don't need to go in and send it again. If they know I'm making the changes, what will happen when they go to this email a month from now, it can be an old email from a month before, click view presentation, and it will be the newest, most updated form. They will never ever see an old or outdated version because it is only a live interactive presentation for that day specifically. Does that make sense? Hopefully that does, because that's what helps clear the clutter. I mean, that's my biggest statement all the time. I don't like having 3 or 4 versions of something. And we don't want an old version of with let's say an old price out there, and then it gets confusing. This means that no matter what changes on my end I make as an agent, you will see as a client, no matter when I make it, even if I don't even tell you, you'll still see that change. But if you make some dramatic change, you still probably you can just resend it to them just so they don't have to dig through their email and just say, I've updated some things, here's your presentation. And they'll, again, always have that same current up-to-date presentation. All right, says very helpful. Thank you for your time. Yay, I like that. Definitely a tool I will use very often. Yes, you guys, our stats, we're watching these numbers. I know I'm going over today big time, but our numbers are being watched. We're looking at how many presentations you're making. I've got testimonials from agents literally saying they use this tool and it helped convert a buyer, and it helped convert into a seller, helped find the buyer, and helped close some sales. We are seeing this make you money. It's just a matter of you using it. If you don't use it, you can't make money with it. Pretty simple. Again, if you have any questions, reach out to your ASC manager or your trainings team. I'll give you guys a couple minutes here as you sign off. If you still want the PDF from me from the Moxi benefits I showed you in the beginning, I'll give you one of these two. So this is the benefits of Moxi, and I'll also include this tool as well that I made in here, the training agenda. So you see what's involved in 201, what's involved in 101. Go ahead and plug your email in the chat bar. But we've covered quite a bit. Congratulations on your full training today. Go ahead, jump into Moxi and get going, and we will see you next time. Again, I'm Elizabeth Glass, and we appreciate your time today. Thanks, guys, so much. Have a great and awesome day. Bye, everyone.